It is 7:16. Best-selling author and professor Michael Eric Dyson has a new book. It's called Long Time Coming: Reckoning with Race in America.
He joins us now via Zoom to talk about it. Thanks for being with us.
Good morning.
Thanks for having me. Good morning. Good to see y'all.
Thanks so much for being here. So, you know, the 5 chapters in this book, it's very interesting. You each address them to a letter to well-known victims of police brutality. Why did you decide to approach it that way?
Well, I wanted to not simply talk about them, I wanted to speak to them. So I thought a letter, an epistolary form would work well here to think out loud about the issues that they confronted in life and that led to their deaths. George Floyd, of course, being viciously treated or mistreated by the police. Derek Chauvin's knee boring into his neck. I wanted to speak out loud to him, to these recently arrived ancestors, to derive some sense of wisdom, some sense of insight, to talk to them about what has happened since their deaths, to commune with them in a kind of spiritual way, not in a loosey-goosey way, to say, these are the issues we confront, this is what your death helped bring about, and now we need your energy to move forward to change the world that has reckoned with your death and must reckon with race as well.
And we've seen, I think, a far more diverse crowd in demonstrations this year than we did in the civil rights movement. However, and I'm sure you've had this conversation too, there are people out there who don't support the Black Lives Movement because they think life is fair and they see that movement, they see the looting, and that's what they focus on. What do you say to those people to turn them around? And I realize some of them you never will, but what do you say to them to try and turn them around?
First of all, let's be honest. The overwhelming majority of black people who were involved in those movements were not violent. Some people who were involved, and some people pointed out that some of the white activists on the far left were instigators of some of the violence, but the overwhelming tone of all of the protests was about injustice. Don't be outraged at the small infractions and offenses, which are real, no doubt about that, and not focus on the larger issue here. That's part of the problem, focusing on the minor and missing the major. There was a looting going on in Boston back in the day. Several people got together, they threw some tea into the river, they impersonated Native American people, and they called it the founding of a nation. America has looted black life, the black future, used us in slavery, denied us opportunity in Jim Crow, and now continues to struggle against, black people continue to struggle against the odds. So if you want to focus on looting, you're missing the broader point. And to those who are open-minded, I think they'll have a reasonable understanding of this. Those who will never believe, we say God bless them, and we have to keep moving forward.
This was such a summer of change, starting with George Floyd in May. And how does the momentum keep up? We had a summer of change and protests. Are there peaks and flows to this, or how do you keep the momentum moving?
Yeah, exactly right. Both of you involved in relationships. I'm in a relationship. We understand. You have love, you have romance, you have igniting of the fuels, and then it kind of settles down. We're in a settled down period. The summer was romance, was love, was passion, was fire. Now we're trying to figure out, what do we do on the daily unsexy basis, right? How do we not leave the toilet seat up? How do we deal with the toothpaste? How do we talk to each other? And how do we calmly embrace the need for systemic change? How do we make a difference at our jobs? How do we make a difference in our homes, in our personal relationships? And how we begin to talk about politics and a corporate system that needs to recognize the humanity of black people.
You also talk about cancel culture in this book and how you say it's kind of a mirage. Why is that?
Well, because I think it's deeply and profoundly problematic. You think you're getting the illusion of justice, and what you're really getting is vengeance. Yeah, some people may be held to account, Harvey Weinstein, Bill Cosby, R. Kelly, but for the most part, this is a lateral movement. People take to the internet, they try to cancel each other because they disagree with them. They don't have evidence, they don't have countervailing empirical evidence, they don't have other people making witness statements. In other words, it's you, the kind of digital lynch mob that you bring to hang a person, whether it's about sex, whether it's about race, whether it's about politics or culture. Let's be far more understanding, embrace each other. Yes, hold each other to account, acknowledge when things are wrong, but also talk about the possibility that even after we rehabilitate people, they can participate again in our society. That's the best impulse. Cancel culture, in my mind, needs to be canceled.
Yeah, it's amazing what people will say to you on the internet that they will never say to your face. Michael, Michael Tyson.
Yeah, right.
The book is Long Time Coming, Reckoning with Race in America. Good to talk to you once again.
Thank you, my friend. Always great to talk to you all.
Take care.